Well, I got good news and bad news. It's actually just kind of, well, the good news is I'm safe. Oh, the bad news is my car is still overheating. So I just put in a brand new radiator and it's leaking at the same spot at the bottom 6 inches. And that's where the water comes from the engine block. I did another CO2 leak test for carbon dioxide in the coolant, and there is none. My next step is to take out the thermostat. I gotta wait for, I'm hoping Pat will get in here. Yeah. So I think what I need to do is gut the thermostat. Or drill a bunch of holes in it. I think gutting it. For some reason, when I go up a hill and I have to be in the turbo at 3,500 RPMs, it just, the temperature gauge goes. I can see the shaft of the water pump turning, and I have seen evidence of high temp at, like I'm sitting here and I have a high temp. I put it in neutral and give it some revs, and the temperature comes down. That proves the water pump is pumping. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I'm hoping Pat Paulson pops in. I put a new fuel filter on today, the new radiator. Hey, Brandon. Hi, Bryson. I'm having a hard day. It's not going so good. You know, I'm doing good, but I'm having trouble with my Mercedes. I bought a new radiator at the cost of $380, overnighted it, and today's Wednesday. I did that on Monday at 2 o'clock. Then I met this young man, and I said, he was wearing a cowboy hat, and I was FFA in high school, and I was like, he looks like the kind of bro who would help me. And I said, you know, I'm in a jam. I'm on my way to my new home, and from California, and my car broke down, and I need a place to change my radiator. So he let me do it in his driveway, and I paid him $200 for the privilege, which I'm happy to, because that's where I'm back at right now. And yeah, sorry, your internet's wobbly. I think the solution here is the thermostat. No thermostat, then the coolant's always circulating. The car should just run cool. It should just run as cold. It'll run as cool as possible. There's also a temperature gauge. There's a temperature sensor at the coolostat, but it's not hooked up. I wonder if that's causing, I mean, that's not causing the overheating, but come on, Pat Paulson, pop in. And JJ. I need JJ and Pat Paulson. And maybe Diabolical. 58. So luckily the thermostat is easy to get to. I'm at the moment 18 seconds behind. I gotcha. I think what makes this situation a little bit not the best is now under the high heat, the new radiator is leaking right where the old one leaked. And it wasn't leaking when it was sitting here idling for 20 minutes. There's no pressure, there's no heat. Just temperature gauge is right in the middle at 90 Celsius. I'm grateful I didn't crack my cylinder head on the motor. Pretty sure taking out thermostat is so the metal, it's a thermostat, and then there's an O-ring. There's no gasket there that I'm aware of. Maybe I should drive to Napa. What time is it? 3:30. I got plenty of time. Maybe I'll drive over to Napa and I doubt they'll have a thermostat, but maybe I'll buy some silicone. I don't have to go to Napa. I can go to any parts automotive. Usually the thermostat housing is sealed by the O-ring. It goes thermostat housing, O-ring, and then the housing bolts on, and that makes it leak proof. Maybe this is what's going on. Okay, maybe this is what's going on. I start to go up a hill and the temperature is 90 Celsius. Then my thermostat slowly opens and then a fuck ton of hot water hits the radiator. I don't know, like my water pump, when water pumps go out, to me, they leak. And the pump, the shaft and the impeller are cast iron, I suspect. It almost acts like it's not circulating, but I know it is because I've seen the temperature come down. I really need some automotive friends in here right now. I'm going to summons Pat Paulson. Come on, buddy. Hop on in. Even the water pump is easy to get to on this. I'm blessed. I'm not going to throw a water pump on though. It looks relatively new anyways. It's not leaking water, so. You guys will not believe this. The radiator came damaged. Like somebody dropped it on the edge and it squished part of it. But it's not leaking where it got squished, so I decided to put it on. A piece of the plastic housing broke off also. You know, it just must be the thermostat. The thermostat housing might be um, sticking. Yeah, air pockets. This car doesn't have a bleeder valve. So it's not air pockets because I had it here idling for 20 minutes and it got to operating temperature and the water reservoir went low and I filled it up and there was a point when you don't need to fill it anymore because everybody's happy. And then there's this really steep hill. Like this hill is a bitch. And why did they put such a steep hill at the beginning of a freeway? It doesn't make any sense to me. But it just causes this thing to just overheat right away. Yeah, even the so well, I'm not paranoid. I am paranoid and sometimes, but I pull over to the side of the road on the freeway when the temperature gets to the 120 Celsius, and then at 130 Celsius is the red line. So I don't want it to go into the red, but at 120 Celsius, the auxiliary fans turn on. So the fans are running. But at that point, I'm not driving anymore, so I'm not adding heat to the system, and that starts to cool it down. Like those fucking fans should come on much sooner. And here's the problem. By the thermostat housing is a sensor, and it's got the blue plastic, which usually means water, but it's not connected. And I can't find a wire that should be connected to it. So maybe when that gets hot, it's like, well, we're about to overheat. You better turn on the fans. I guess what I need to do is find the name of that sensor and try to locate where it could be on the wire harness and it's just dangling somewhere and somebody didn't hook it up. We're diagnosing this problem. I mean, when you got an overheating car and the radiator is leaking always, drip, 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 you're like, well, maybe that's it. I've done the block test, the head gasket. Did I blow a head gasket? No. There's no water in the oil. There's no oil in the water. I did a carbon dioxide test of the water. There's no exhaust gases in the water. And the max high temp fans are turning on. The belts are tight because it's a serpentine, so the belts are self-tightening. The fan clutch works very well. I've got a fan shroud on it that was actually very elegantly made. It's got a piece where you spin it and then the ring comes off and then you can pull out the shroud with no tools. It's really elegant. I've never seen anything so pretty. If anybody wants to know what it looks like, you would Google OM603, which is the engine, thermostat housing. It's on the side of the block on the number one cylinder, lower. You know, the bottom of the radiator is the exit, right? No, hot goes to the top. Yeah. So out of the water pump. No. I'm not sure which way it flows. I think it flows from top to bottom. Yeah, because cold water sinks. So the hot water goes to the top, and then it goes to the bottom, and then it can enter the block. And it's not entering the block. And it's just getting hot at the bottom of the radiator. That's where it's blowing. Friends, I don't know what I'm doing right now, except talking to you. If you've ever known mechanics, this is pretty normal to be perplexed, befuddled. I got my drills with me. How many batteries do I have? 3 batteries, but I didn't bring the battery charger. Why would I need that? Things will be fine. I could always get another charger at Harbor or Home Depot, if they have Home Depots in Wyoming. My life in the desert was the Robinson Crusoe adventure. And now this is the Oregon Trail. I'm on the road. The most important thing is to not be impatient right now. Like an impatient person would be fucking with that thermostat getting burned. I'm going to let it cool down. Come on, Pat Paulson, where are you? Pat builds a lot of hot rods. This car comes to life when the turbo's on at 3,500 RPMs. It pulls. Like it will go up a hill. This car's 4,500 pounds. It's got a like 211 torque or something. Anyways, it will drag it up a hill. Only with the turbo. No turbo, this car is a dog. I need diabolical. Where's diabolical? Yeah, cooling fan's working. We need some more automotive people in here. The radiator was pretty easy to do. 6 bolts at the top, 1 at the bottom of the radiator, 2 radiator hoses, 2 transmission lines, and the air filter housing to the turbo boot, just to give myself room. As long as I don't overheat it, that stop leak will probably fix the radiator without. What's so weird is the car drove great for 600, 700 miles. And it was only when I was in Wyoming where I could do 80 miles an hour. So I'm going 80 miles an hour, sometimes 90. Huge airflow. And I'm not into the turbo, but it's like 3,000 revs, and it's like those more revolutions, and just propelling the car at a faster pace creates more heat, and then if the fans aren't active at 120 degrees C, sounds like that might be an issue. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, the fan should come on earlier. I could check the fan fuse. Duh. Well, there's that sensor that's not connected. That's probably what's doing this. Is that sensor would normally tell the fans to turn on. Well, it's got to be part of the engine wire harness that's out of its sheath. These cars are known for the wire harnesses to the motor. The insulation on the wire turns to cookie crumbs. Mine might have been repaired. And since it was repaired, maybe somebody forgot to hook it up. Good suggestion. Thank you. Thanks for saying that. Another thing that would save my life right now is if I could turn the heater up. Fan relay switch, right. Well, I'm sure that this temperature sensor at the thermostat housing that isn't hooked up is somehow fucking me. It's time for a piece of pizza. Do 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 do. Right on. I got a can of beans and a can of split pea soup. I like to eat split pea soup right out of the can, just drink it. I bet you when I'm done with you guys, I go look at that wire harness and I'll find it just a dangling connector, and that's probably the thing on that temp sensor. Oh, I feel stupid. When I took out the radiator, I did not consider looking at the condenser in front of it. Maybe the condenser in front is full of fucking bugs. And I should have got the garden hose and cleaned that out. Did a reverse flush. But we also have, you hear that noise? That's a can rolling up the hill, being blown up the hill. I was hoping Pat was going to pop on in. I need you guys. a second, I thought I was a genius. Homemade French pea soup is pretty dang good. Maybe you are a genius. The word genie and genius comes from the word genie, and it's from people thinking that you have a divine spirit within you that gives you godlike qualities. That there's a genie in you giving you inspiration. I actually think genius might be the ability to do things like remote viewing and telepathy and listening to your inner voice. Like God's talking to you, but people are ignoring the messages. And if you follow your intuition more and then act upon it, that might be the genius. I only have success because I have huge amounts of attempts. Other people might call attempts failures. What's his name? Edison said it's just a new way. We learn a new way it doesn't work. So by just trying and trying and trying, we get there. Hey, there's Pat. Pat, I need you, man. I need to talk to you. So here's the update, Pat. I got the new radiator in, nothing leaking, everything good, and I installed a new fuel filter today. Everything's going great. Then as I went to leave town, there's a hill that's really steep, and right away it overheated. I pulled over, and the new radiator is leaking at the same spot as the other radiator, and which is where the hose that enters at the bottom connects to the thermostat. So I'm thinking now, Pat, that I should take out the thermostat. What do you think? Also, Pat, it's a thermostat with an O-ring and then the housing, no gasket. If I take out the thermostat and just put in the O-ring, do you think that will seal it? Or is just like the 0.25 millimeter thickness? You told me to take out the thermostat yesterday. I think you did. I wasn't sure if you said it or JJ. So you agree, take out the thermostat housing. Do you think I can run with just that O-ring, or do I have to destroy the thermostat because of the thickness and the O-ring that makes the seal? What do you think? Because it's like you got the housing, thermostat, O-ring, and housing, and that squeezes it all together. So Pat, answer my question. Do you think by taking out the thermostat, okay, good idea. Well, right now it's not leaking at the thermostat housing, but if I take out the thermostat and then just put the O-ring back, do you think it's yeah, Pat says could still be the head gasket seeping under load. I think you could be right. That's what it makes me feel, is under load, hot gases are superheating the liquid. Maybe under load with the thermostat housing out, let's say we have a head gasket, but under load with the thermostat out, maybe that's enough to get me by. What do you think? What do you think, Pat? Thermostat out, under load with bad head gasket, that might be enough to get me by? Mm-hmm. Well, you and I can do a proper diagnostic. I did a CO2 test on the head. Oh, Pat, before you came in, there's a temperature sensor on the thermostat housing that is not connected. And I think that's supposed to turn on the fan to lower the temp, and it's probably not working. I need a leak down test. What am I leaking down? Oh, the pressure of the coolant system. You're saying I should pressurize the cooling system and do a leak down. Well, right now the radiator's the new radiator's leaking. So I've already fucked up the new radiator, Pat. It's already leaking. Here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to go get a coolant pressure tester. Probably. The radiator came damaged. The box was all fucked up. FedEx said, well, you can deny it, but then they wouldn't let me look at it. I'm like, so either I accept it damaged and hope it's not damaged, or deny it and not know. They wouldn't let me look. So I said, I just took the risk. They said I could always send it back to the shipper as damaged. And it's bent. If you look at my Twitter, that top row is super bent. Somebody dropped it on its head. Except it's not leaking there, but I am going to return it later. Here's my plan of action. I'm going to go get some more radiator sealant. I'm going to take out the thermostat housing. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to buy some silicone in case it doesn't seal. I'm going to just remove the whole thermostat, put the O-ring there, and hope that seals it. If that doesn't seal it, then I'll make a silicone gasket. Yeah, and I'll hunt down that wire harness. Thank you. Okay, let me write this down. Wire harness tester. Remove thermal. I think removing the thermostat. I'm sorry I didn't do that, Pat. I was thinking about it today. Well, here we are. Now it's at the time to remove the thermostat. And I'm pretty sure I can seal that housing. If the O-ring, it doesn't work with the thermostat out, I can destroy the thermostat, take the guts out, and then it will seal. There will be no thermostat guts. I got tin snips with me. However, if the head gasket's leaking and when it's under load, I'm superheating the water, maybe even with the thermostat removed, it's too much heat for the system to handle. Or maybe it's putting pressure. So I need to drive with the cap loose. So any pressure that builds up in the system will bubble off out of the coolant reservoir. That's what I should have tried to do, is go up the hill with the radiator cap on half mode. Mm-hmm. Well, it's 4 o'clock. I guess I should get myself over to Harbor Freight and an automotive store to get some. I'll see if they have. Hey Pat, if I could get a new thermostat today, should I try a new thermostat or just could be no thermostat? My gut tells me no thermostat. This way I'm always at max cooling. And I got to find a way to find out what the... Okay, good. Well, is there anything else you want to tell me before I hang this up? So here's my plan of action. Get some silicone in case yeah, okay, I'll ask the guys at the automotive supply store of a local shop. Thank you. I'm going to remove the thermostat housing completely, not tear it apart yet, then put it back together and see if it will not leak. Actually, I'll put it back together with silicone. That way we know we've got a gasket going there. Maybe I'll buy a small micrometer and measure the thickness of the gasket and the depth of the hole. Anyways, and I'll hunt down that wire for that sensor. Okay, Pat, thank you for your help. And thank you everybody else for being here in this broadcast. Bryson's Folly and Andy 9898S and Andy McKay. That's Andy McKay. Wayne, what an adventure you're on. I think the future's bright. Thank you. Okay, friends, not unknown. All right, well, I'll do another broadcast in 3 hours or so and kind of let you know what happened with all these suggestions. So I'm going to get a pressure tester for the cooling system, more radiator stop leak. I'm going to remove the thermostat completely and not destroy it. I'm going to reassemble it with the O-ring. I'm going to measure the thickness of the O-ring and the depth of the housing. And if it's not enough to cover it, then I'll put silicone on it. Yeah. Thanks. All right. Bye bye.